Hey buddies, welcome to AmassGames. My name is Simon. Today we're looking at the game Fork, that is Fox, Owl, Rabbit, Kale. This is how to set up, play and review a food chain trick-taking game for 2 to 6 players. It says about 20 minutes to play. I think it's a lot shorter than that. So in this game, you are winning tricks. What is winning a trick? It's when you're playing out cards, and if you happen to have the highest value, typically in the leading suit, then you win that hand, that trick, that deck of cards, and then you play another round, i.e. another trick, until, in this instance, all the cards are played. You're going to play typically 13 cards, or somebody has won 5 tricks. They may not have won the game. You're then going to tot up how many points you can get on these cards as well. So we have various terrains that we can go to, basically representing the different suits. We have blue Arctic, we have yellow desert, reddish sort of mountain, and swamp in kind of green. Depending on the number of players, that is how it's going to look. There's also separate rules available if you're playing at 2 as well. So check out my How to Set Up Play and Review playlist, the AmassGames playlist, the Family Weight playlist, because this has got a family on it, and I do agree it can work in that way too. Everybody's going to take a Fox card if you're playing as a 4, an example. It varies differently. If you're playing as a 3, you are taking 2 each, but let me just talk to you about it playing as a 4. So everybody's going to take one of these cards, and I'm going to put the other Foxes back in the box. That's how it's going to work if you're playing as a 4, as an example. And here are those various terrains that we can talk about. Now, what you're going to be doing is shuffling up all the decks of cards and handing cards out to everybody. So in this case, you're going to get 12 cards plus your Fox card makes 13 cards, 54 cards available. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, plus the Fox makes 13. What are you going to do? Well, let's say I'm starting. I'm going to sort my cards quickly and then lead off with a certain suit. In this case, let's see what I've got quite a lot of. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Let's just quickly make sure they're in order. Yeah, so let's just say I'm either going to play a card face down or face up, depending on what I'm playing. In this instance, let's say I'm going to play something quite high. If I've got any owls, I'm going to say mountain, and what you want to do is just mark it with something if you wish to, saying I'm playing a mountain. So you could even put your card on mountain. Everybody else is going to chuck in their card too, and in this instance, let's say somebody happens to have a Kale card. They must play the Kale card face up. Okay, now if you haven't got that suit, you're still chucking any card, including Kale, but you're going to place it still face up, but yeah, so you're not going to win the trick because it doesn't match. But in this case, somebody does have another Kale card or has a Kale card. They play this. Somebody happens to play another card, and let's say they play their card face down. We know it's not Kale. And let's say somebody else happens to play a card, and let's just say it's that one as well. So now we resolve the trick. So now we have a look at the cards. So remember, I play the owl. You place these cards actually in front of you, just to let you know, just make it clear. But over here, we have got Kale. Obviously, we knew that. We have a hare here and a hare here. So how does this work? Well, a bit like in a food chain, you can kind of see what everything is going to eat. So we have foxes. If a fox would come out, it's basically a wild card. It can count as any terrain. So you can either choose to win the trick or lose the trick, but you'd always want to win the trick. In this case, the fox would then eat either the owl or the rabbit, but there aren't any foxes. So then we go down and we have the barn owl. The barn owl can choose to eat one of these rabbits. In this case, let's say it's going to eat this one here. So this does not actually count towards your scoring. It's going to go into your discard pile. Let's put it over here for now, just slightly out of shot. I take this and I'm going to score 3 points at the end of the game. So you can put that face down however you want to, just out of shot. And now we have got a hare left. This player can now eat this person's Kale. So this again comes out of the game because that's still left. It still hasn't been eaten. And then they're going to win, in this case, 1 point. But for every amount of Kale they get, it increases. So they get a total of 5 Kale of any terrain type. They're going to get themselves 8 points. So currently they've got 1 point, we've got 3, and now they've got nothing currently. Then what's going to happen is the active player, is how it states, is going to go next. In our view so far, that's been the person to the left, but it could well be the person who's won it, depending on how we should play it. And you're going to go again. So in this instance, again, we're looking through our cards. You can choose to play however you want to. Typically, though, the higher value card is going to be the more dominating one. In this case, you can score a Kale of any terrain. They have spelled that wrong. And in any Arctic trick. So basically, if you happen to win, in this case, you happen to be playing an Arctic card, you're playing an Arctic Kale, may score a Kale of any terrain in an Arctic trick. So what that means is if someone didn't have any of the Arctic Kale, let's say they ran out, and it's only if you run out can you play something else, then they're going to say, okay, I'm playing a Kale of this one. If this has still survived, it hasn't been eaten by a fox, it hasn't been eaten by an owl, then this Kale can of course be scored for this player. Okay, it's going to go in front of them as well. So that's going to happen, like I said, until someone has won a total of 5 cards. Then you're going to do final scoring. So you're going to finish the round, and then you're going to see how many points you have. Again, it might be the case that, especially with, say, 4 or more players, you might end up playing all 13 cards. Typically for us, we've ended up playing as a 4. We've played about 8 cards, and that's kind of where it's got to. But it just shows you that if you happen to have a higher player count, you might end up playing all of those cards. So, like I said, you can play this game as a 2 as well. Might go on a 2-player playlist. But in terms of the rules, very straightforward. That all it is one sheet of paper, and it works quite effectively. Their rabbits are basically values 2 to 7, and apart from that, we've also got kale, only values 1, owls are values 8, and foxes are 9. So it kind of helps you in terms of value number as to the order in which you're going through everything as well. So what do I think of the game? I give this game a 7 out of 10, higher than average for me, very good. I do enjoy the kind of nature element. I think the theme works really strongly with this one because obviously you're having an owl and you're going to need a hare. Now it could be the case that someone plays a fox. If someone else plays a fox, they cancel each other out. They don't want to be near each other. And suddenly if someone has got an owl and a rabbit, they're feeling great because suddenly they haven't been eaten by a fox. And now if there is an owl there present, of course it's going to eat a hare, and of course you're going to pick on whoever's got the most points. And again, if there's any hares remaining, they're going to eat kale, but if there's no kale available, well, these guys don't need anything. So it's all about who's playing kale. Okay, you just played a kale card face up, I'll play a hare face down, but you don't know I'm playing a hare. This person might thinking, well, if I play a hare face down, they might play a barn owl if they happen to have an owl. So there's 4 different types of owl per type. So we have barn owl, we have snowy owl, that kind of stuff. Based on the train type as well, it's quite cute. You have black-tailed jackrabbits, you've got blue hares, again, got different kind of owls, striped owl, etc., snowy owl. So it's quite a nice variety. I like the artwork. I think, like I said, it works well. Enjoyable. It's very quick to play. And I think, this is one I think you should check out. This is definitely my favourite so far from this particular designer. This is a Sunrise Tornado. This is Tati Wu, is the designer based in LA, a Taiwanese designer based in LA. In this case, the artistry is also by Lily Chin. So I do have another video coming soon to the channel, also by this publisher and this designer. So let me know your thoughts on that. Obviously, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and let me know the comments are best in YouTube. Aside from that, obviously head through to Facebook for discussion. There's also over on Instagram, there's pictures of this over there too. And also head through to the podcast, we'll find this too, as well as on Patreon, and lastly over on Linktree. But for now, that has been Fork, very tiny, small little game, very handy and portable. But for now, back to the table.